Hello and welcome. You're watching The Investing Edge. I'm Sumaira Abidi. This week, Investing Edge has traveled to the pink city of Jaipur, and we're doing what we do best, which is bringing the experience and learnings of wealth management industry down to our retail audience. With me is Feroze Azeez, Deputy CEO of Anand Rathi Financial Services. Feroze, thanks so much for being a part of the show. I want to start off by talking about the current environment that we're living in. Domestically, there have been so many reforms that have taken place. But globally, the indication is that perhaps the trade war may not come to a very, definite conclusion anytime soon. Next year, of course, is the U.S. presidential re-election. Therefore, what are the cues that investors must focus on, and where does the portfolio fit in between all this?
In an investing life, you will find so many such situations. Point one, take uncertainty as a positive. अगर certainty होती है तो पैसा बन चुका होता है. Uncertainty की वजह से ही पैसा future में बनता है. Not that uncertainty you go blindly and then you will get wrapped on your knuckles as well. I'm saying uncertainty is the reason why you get chunky returns in equity. In an FD you get linear returns. रोज उतने का उतना ही पैसा कमाते हैं हम. If you actually want to be agnostic or you don't want to be concerned of all these, then you have to test your portfolio. When we say strategy, it implies that it's a combination of portfolio products which have been tested for their complementary nature, to give you an all-weather kind of a situation, and you should have checked that for the next 20 years for all the weathers. Now, so if you have done that, great. If you have not done that, I suggest you do it. Otherwise, what happens is, if everything does well together, remember, they will all do bad together. There has to be a complementary nature. You need to have a plan A and a plan B, rather than a plan A1, plan A2, plan A3, and plan A4.
Okay, a follow-up question to that. We've seen a lot of, upgrades coming for earnings of companies, given the recent reform announcements. Does news like this also matter for a retail investor?
It matters big time. Now, what you actually implied was the reduced taxation on corporates. This is not a one-time gift. It is a perpetual thingy, like it's open-ended. That's what Honorable Finance Minister said. Anything which actually moves the graph laterally upwards. It moved the graph laterally upwards. क्योंकि अब से सबकी प्रॉफिट थोड़ी बढ़ गई और हर साल बढ़ी हुई रहेगी. तो क्या ये एक साल का गिफ्ट है, 2 साल का गिफ्ट है? नहीं. It's a lateral shift in the earnings. Okay, will they take away the medicine? Or will I not be able to afford the medicine 3 years from now? That's a separate story. At that point in time, I will say medicine is gone. But it's still not a painkiller. There are so many other activities of the government's announcement which can be categorized as painkillers, short-term painkillers. This is more of a lateral shift in the earning.
Okay, Feroze, I don't know how many people over here read this little piece of news, but in Sweden, there's an Indian couple who have named their newborn baby daughter Mirai. And why that name sounds familiar to you is because she's named after the mutual fund company Mirai Asset, because they were investors who reaped that kind of benefits from their investments there. So Feroze, you were one of the people who saw the potential in Mirai as an AMC and their funds pretty early on. Is there a way for people to actually spot these early trends? I mean, how do you know that, I don't say just Mirai, you spotted a few others, and there are many more who have potential. But how do I know from this 457 schemes, which is the scheme which is going to have potential?
Correct. I think, firstly, I also wish some baby boys are named Anand Rathi in the future, like Mirai. I think that's a good aspiration to have.
The company is named after a man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's easy. Hopefully people use it. That could be a very good aspiration to work for 10, 15, 20 years. I think that's a huge compliment to Mirai. Second thing is, Mirai, of course, we spotted a little early. One is, sometimes you go right by chance or you go right by design. It's very important. You still have gone right, but it's important to see whether you went right by design or by chance. If you went by chance, that means you will not repeat that. If it is design, then you know that the probability of going right several times is so much more. So At least for the last 12 years, I have been using one method, regression. Regression को statistical astrology कहते हैं. Statistical astrology कहते हैं, which helps you better predict, not perfectly predict, better predict than past performance. Past performance के आधार पे recommend करने के बदले regression के method पे आधार पे recommend करो तो संभावना, certainty किसी चीज में नहीं है, संभावना है कि आपको अच्छी स्कीम मिलने की थोड़ी बढ़ जाती है, थोड़ी नहीं काफी बढ़ जाती है. जो भी आज तक अच्छा करे हैं म्यूचुअल फंड, उन्होंने क्या साइन दिया था, अगर वो रिग्रेशन वो साइन को ढूंढता है कि क्या कॉमन था, अच्छा होने से पहले उन्होंने क्या कॉमन चीजें दिखाई थी, और वो कॉमन चीजों की नजर लगा के बैठा रहता है कि कौन ये एट्रीब्यूट दिखा रहा है. खराब करने से पहले क्या उन्होंने सिग्नल दिखाए थे, क्या कॉमन था. दैट कॉमन थिंग्स आर टेकन and regression tries to search for the commonality and then says, oh my god, ये commonality इस फंड में है. सात के साथ regression ने हमारे लिए 7 आइडेंटिफाई किए कि ये इंडिकेशन है, 7 इंडिकेशन. ये 7 इंडिकेशन अगर 5 इंडिकेशन एक फंड में दिखाई देते हैं तो उसकी संभावना है कि वो अब अच्छा परफॉर्म करेगा या बुरा परफॉर्म करेगा. सो दैट्स द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ रिग्रेशन. पॉइंट 2, एंड नीलेश सुनाना जो फंड मैनेजर हैं, if I have to define his job role in a simple fashion, he needs to identify those businesses which I don't have the capability to identify much before I could have. So what should you do? To find out a person's capability, let's assume Mr. Shunana, what should we do? We should list down last 5 साल में सबसे top 100 stocks कौन से निकले. Then go and check. हर stock के पास में एक नाम लिखिए उस आदमी का या उस औरत का जिसने पहला खरीदा था म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री में. तो आपको यह पता लग जाएगा कि ये 100 स्टॉक में से who were the people who bought this stocks first. That means if Page Industries को सबसे पहले किसने खरीदा था, उसको श्रेय तो मिलना चाहिए भाई. तो फिर ऐसी ये 100 में से अगर ये बंदे ने 12 स्टॉक सबसे पहले खरीदे थे म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री में, तो ये तुक्का तो नहीं हो सकता. So that becomes a key attribute of choosing a fund manager. There doesn't end the story, unfortunately. आर्ट स्कीम मिलने के बाद हम सबको वही आर्ट स्कीम हम घर जाके पोर्टफोलियो बनाएंगे तो सब अपने अपने अलग अलग परसेंटेज डालेंगे. सबकी पोर्टफोलियो की परफॉर्मेंस सेम नहीं आएगी क्योंकि सबके पास वही आर्ट स्कीम है. किसी ने एक में 10% लगाया, किसी ने किसी में 20% लगाया. परसेंटेज किस में कितना, क्योंकि हम सबका पोर्टफोलियो अलग परफॉर्मेंस देगा विद द सेम 8 schemes. Then comes that Markowitz principle, which tries to convert the same 8 funds into one portfolio for all of us, which is the best.
Okay, we have a query. So we've been getting a lot of feedback for the Investing Edge. And we have a query from Mr. Arvind Kumar, who had written to us from Chennai. He wants to know that in the scenario where interest rates are decreasing, what space do GSEC funds have in the portfolio?
No place. Okay, for 2 big reasons. You have to simulate and see क्या रिटर्न आएगी. आज 10-year GSEC 6.8 पे होगा, मतलब गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को पैसे दे दूं 15 छोड़िए 6.8 तो मिल जाएगा. मेरा वो जन्म सिद्ध अधिकार है, इंडिया में रह के मैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को पैसा दे दूं तो 6.8 मिल जाएगा. ब्याज दरें घटेंगी. इसमें इतनी फैलेसीज हैं, इट्स अनबिलीवेबल. ब्याज दरें आरबीआई कौन सी घटाती है? बैंकों की ब्याज दरें घटाती है जो एक दिन का ब्याज होता है. आज मैं उधार दूं और जला साहब से वापस कल ले लूं, इसको कितने दिन का उधार बोलते हैं? एक दिन का. एक दिन के लिए भी उधार दे सकता हूं, उसको कहते हैं रिपो एंड रिवर्स रिपो. दैट्स ऑलमोस्ट ऑन ओवरनाइट रेट. 10-year GSEC जो मैंने 6.8 कहा था वो 10 साल का ब्याज है. आरबीआई कौन सा ब्याज मैनेज करती है? 1-2 दिन का, 3 दिन का. उस पे पैसे नहीं बनते हैं तो 10-year GSEC पे पैसे बनते हैं. पहले तो दोनों में कोरिलेशन इतना कम है. आप चेक कीजिए, आरबीआई ने 2% ब्याज घटाया हुआ है. उस दौरान 10-year GSEC में एक धेले का फर्क नहीं पड़ा है. ब्याज दरें घट भी गई फिर भी पैसे नहीं बने क्योंकि मेरे पैसे बनेंगे 10-year GSEC पे. Point 2, let's assume 10-year GSEC comes down to 3%. Even if that happened, the fund will give you 9.7% return. Just compute and see.
Thanks very much for that. And a quick note to our audience, if you have any queries that you'd like to have answered, do email them to us at enquiry@investingedge.in. With that, we'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back. And on the other side, we'll open up the floor to our audience. Welcome back. You're watching The Investing Edge. We're in Jaipur this week, and with me, as always, is Feroze Azeez. So we've spoken quite a bit, and it's time now to open up the floor to our audience. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Feroze, what is your opinion regarding ELSS?
Equity-linked saving schemes, ELSS, are a good tax-saving mechanism, but you should only use it for tax purposes, because one study which I did for 10 fund managers, open-ended fund and closed-ended fund. Closed-ended का मतलब lock-in, open-ended मतलब डालो निकालो. Ideally, closed-ended जिसमें fund manager को 3 साल का सुकून हो manage करने के लिए, he should do better. Because उसको मैंने 3 साल lock-in दे दिया भाई, अब तू कर जो करना है. So ideally, he should do better in closed-ended. 9 out of 10 fund managers did better in open-ended. Let's assume Mr. X is managing a closed-ended fund and an open-ended fund. Ideally, if I told Mr. X, take 3 years, do a good job, he should do better in that fund than a fund where I can take my money, give him any day. 9 out of 10 fund managers did worse in a closed-ended fund than themselves. I'm not comparing Mr. X with Mr. Y. I'm comparing Mr. X's fund 1 and fund 2. So locked in beyond tax benefit, the answer is no, ideally. The fund manager does a better job because he has a sword hanging on his head. If he doesn't perform well, everybody takes the money out. So they're very agile. They're very chokanna in a fund where they know that if they do well, 10,000 crores will come. If they don't do well, 5,000 crores will go. Closed-ended fund में 500 करोड़ collect कर लिए, ना तो 1 रुपया आने वाला है, ना तो 1 रुपया जाने वाला है. Very, very bright fund managers. One of the most respected in my 21 list, they are there. But if you see their closed-ended performance, you will be disappointed.
The next question from Mr. Rajiv Bhargav.
For wealth management, what in a simple term would be an advice or a possibility of, appropriate returns where a guy looks at, investments and advice for wealth management, considering regular returns and tax benefits?
If you are a senior citizen and if you want to consume the wealth you created, that's the most happiest situation for a wealth advisor, saying that जो काम कर रहे हो, zero add कर रहे हो, कहीं प्रयोग तो हो रहा है, वरना zero add होते रहे. Right? So it's a very, I feel very happy when clients use the money because that's what gives meaning to your profession. Otherwise, it's meaningless profession. First, whenever you're going to consume money, you have to bifurcate it into 2 portions. One is consumption, the other is legacy. So if I have 100 rupees, first thing I will try and work backwards and try and see if I have a life expectancy of 84 years. So we actually took crores of people's obituary data, bought it from somewhere, and found out what is the life expectancy of a non-smoker, non-drinker. Then I know that if you're going to, the probability of you being alive till 84, 85, 86 is high, then I'll work backwards and say, how much will you maximum consume? And then I'll add a 20% more buffer, because you can go wrong in your consumption expectation, I can go wrong in my inflation expectation, right? And then I'll keep that money aside. So the strategy for that portion is going to be dramatically different than the residual money, if at all there's something left. If it is residual money, the strategy is going to be growth, strategy is going to be compounding, strategy is going to be derived out of the next Karta's age, risk appetite, earning capability, not yours. Because आपने कमाया जरूर है, आपकी कस्टडी में जरूर है, but आपका नहीं है. Because आप consume करने वाले नहीं हो. So then the strategy will revolve around not the senior citizen, but it will revolve around the actual beneficiary of that money. So I will bifurcate.
Okay, the next question comes in from Mr. Raghuveer Bhandari.
My question emanates from what you and Sumaira were talking about evaluating a mutual fund, and the example was you evaluated Mirai well in advance of most others. Now, if I have to evaluate a fund manager, number one, as an individual, it's almost impossible for me to evaluate him because I would never know what decisions he has taken and at what time, and amongst so many fund managers, who was the first to take a decision to buy Reliance Industries or something like that. That's number one. And number two, supposing that man leaves Mirai, does that change your strategy? That is one question. And coming out of that is, how often should I review my own investment portfolio?
Sir's first question is, how do I get access to that information? Of course, that information, generally, you will need a team of people to do it. If you want to access that information for free, then it is there on MF Corner, Sumaira's other show. We give away all the information. If somebody uses it, and if you have done some research, if somebody can benefit with it without any variable cost, I'm very happy to share all the analysis, because it does not change my cost. Aap use karen to, I'm very happy. Second is, that's why I have mutual funds under our broker code. That's what they call it. वरना आपके पास सुविधा है कि आप डायरेक्ट जा सकते हैं. 2% की फी होती है. अगर आप डायरेक्ट चले जाते हैं तो 1% पे आ जाती फी. 90 पैसा आपका बच जाता है, राइट? तो आप 90 पैसे बचाते हैं तो मेरे पास जो पैसा आता है कमीशन का वो बंद हो जाता है और आपकी जेब में आ जाता है. So for doing all the research, I expect people to remunerate me so that I can do that. Most fair people say, yes, get remunerated. So most portfolios I analyze on this. 95% of them would have done better off by paying me 1% than actually saving the 1%, because 1% bachane ke chakkar mein, if you have two schemes which were not monitored enough, then the people, still I will find 4 or 5% of the people who have done a better job than me as a company. Then I say, sir, aapko kabhi mutual fund ki advice nahi dunga, kyunki aap acha kar rahe ho, to main kyun दूं advice, right? So that's so point one I'm making is, you have the choice of going direct. But an advisor, why is it important to go with the right analytics is important? Because ये जो 457 सुमेरा मैडम ने जो बताया हमें कि equity schemes हैं, सबका नाम equity scheme ही है, सबका नाम equity scheme है. इसका हमने analysis किया, हर साल best और worst में अंतर कितना है? 28% का अंतर है. जो मैं 1% बचाने जा रहा हूं, उस यूनिवर्स में जो डिस्पर्शन है 28% है. तो उसमें से अगर मैं हर साल आनंद राठी को या कोई भी एडवाइजर को 1% देता रहूं, 10 साल में कितने दे दूंगा? मैं उसको 10% दे दूंगा. उसने, और हर साल डिफरेंस कितना है? 28% का है, राइट? अगर बेस्ट और वर्स्ट फंड में सिर्फ 2% का अंतर होता तो मैं बता, उस 2% के अंतर में मैं 1% ले लूं, इट्स नॉट फेयर, right? So since the dispersion is so large, I would feel safer to pay the one so that I get the extra. So but depends on the advisor. If you are fair enough, or if you think it is valid, you should go with an advisor. Second, how frequently do you review? I would say, for an advisor to review every month is critical. Very, very critical. Second, I check which has been the worst two for the last month. Then I speak to the worst two performers of last month fund manager and check with him, Mr. Shailesh Rajwan. So Reliance large cap has been the worst performing for last month. Then I know uske kyun usse dhoka hua, right? Shailesh Rajwan is a good fund manager. So we will check with him saying that, why are you the worst one here? You're a good fund manager. So he says, SBI mein mera exposure zyada hai, right? SBI last ek mahine mein 22% niche gaya hai, August mein. So ye statistic is as of today. अब मुझे पता है आज SBI 10% ऊपर गई है, Reliance वापस ऊपर आ जाएगा. So then you know whether the problem will persist. Should I leave Shailesh Rajwan and go somewhere else, or I should stick with it? So an advisor needs to check on it so much in detail. So advisor could be as high frequency as every day. Doesn't mean that you have to make a change every month. I make very little changes, but you have to be on top of it. So for that, I think I deserve 1% through 90 paisa generally. If some people say no, then I say, sir, I'll go to somebody else who thinks I'm worth that 1%. So that's the strategy.
Okay, the next question from Mr. Jhala.
There are two questions I have. Most times when we discuss with others, real estate constitutes the predominant part of the assets. So kindly tell this audience that how important is real estate and what should be the composition in your portfolio. My second question is, broad brush, composition of your wealth,
Asset
how
allocation.
would you like it to be for a senior citizen and for upstart?
Correct. Sir's first question, I think that's the irony, that if we collected all people's balance sheet, generally I've done that in previous events, and then I try and see how much came into real estate and gold. Gold is still a smaller portion. It came to almost 60%. And that's a stark number because the size of real estate, and especially because it last 5 years छोड़ दीजिए, उसके पहले तो अच्छा किया था, तो आपने पैसे कम डाले होंगे, मार्केट वैल्यू के हिसाब से वो 60% हो गया होगा, right? So we have to give that credit to real estate for having done that for a period of time, but last 5 years it was very clear that it did not do well, is why Anand Rathi was so negative on real estate for 5 years. Point one, I think the day when Mr. Rathi decided to close a real estate fund sooner, taking a brunt of 25 crores of profit not coming into his pocket, that day I decided I'll live with this company forever. We were the only real estate fund which had 3 more years where we could have collected 6-7 crores of fee. We closed that fund sooner. So because I created a view to hai, real estate fund ke aapke. So point one I'm making is, the answer which, first is, I completely acknowledge that's the commonality in most HNI portfolios, that it has become 50, 60. If it is 20, then you're below average. If it is 80, then you're above average. Average is 55 to 60, depending on the city we are speaking of. If you went to Hyderabad, the ratios could be as high as 80. If you went to Bangalore, because that's new gen money, it is lesser, right? So depending on, so its average for the country is 60. Point two is, it will not be right on my part to make very broad statements when it comes to real estate, because the entire country is real estate. So specific residential real estate in most tier 1 and tier 2 cities will not do well for the next 4 years, right? Is the expectation, because data is pointing towards that for 2 reasons which are unique, other than the reasons which you would have heard. One is Section 54, Income Tax Act का जो Section 54 है, उसका फायदा 0 हो गया है. What do I mean by that is, real estate में पहले क्या मिलता था? Income tax says that you don't have to pay capital gain. अगर आपने property बेची 1 करोड़ की 2 करोड़ में, अगर ये 2 करोड़ वापस लाए आप और property में डाल दी, तो आपको tax भरने की जरूरत नहीं है. Or we as an Indian society, we are not as happy paying taxes, barring some exceptions, of course. So what we used to do, profit बनता था, profit इस घर से निकालते थे, दूसरा घर खरीदते थे. अब profit बनना बंद हो गया, तो पहले तो जब भी बिक रहा है, वो माल वापस रियल एस्टेट में नहीं जा रहा है. पहले तो बिक ही नहीं रहा है. जो नया कोई अंदर नहीं आ रहा है, और जो भी बाहर जा रहा है, वो अभी खुला है बाहर जाने के लिए, जहां जाना है जा. पहले ऐसा नहीं होता था, क्योंकि प्रॉफिट था, तो people were compelled to reinvest back in real estate. Now they're selling and going out. Second is, India is now using the third dimension. This is what we had written 5 years back in ET. India was using only 2 dimensions for the last 20-30 years. Now India is using the third dimension by going laterally upwards. Of course, Mumbai exemplifies this hypothesis, but in other cities, smaller cities, maybe they have not have gone up so much. But बहुत laterally upwards जा रहा है. So supply is coming from thin air, literally. Third, infrastructure is developing. Because infrastructure was very bad in the country, people have this belief that infrastructure will improve real estate prices. Infrastructure decreases in real estate prices. Of course, it's a very counterintuitive thing, so I have to explain that. जब भी infrastructure बढ़ता है, central city के भाव घट जाते हैं. जैसे मुंबई में नरीमन पॉइंट के जो प्राइजेस हैं, आज 10 साल की नेगेटिव रिटर्न नरीमन पॉइंट में क्यों है? क्यों? उनकी सीलिंग बनाया गया. क्योंकि चेंबूर के लिए एक 15 किलोमीटर का फ्लाईओवर बनाया गया. जब सिटी को चोक कर देते हो, तो इंसान के पास जरिया नहीं होता है फैलने का. बैंगलोर में मेट्रो आते ही एमजी रोड सेंट्रल डिस्ट्रिक्ट के प्राइजेस कम हो जाते हैं. सो वंस यू गिव अलाउ पीपल टू स्प्रेड आउट, they are now allowed. Now you make a bridge from Nariman Point to Alibag, which is 9 nautical miles. From Nariman Point to Alibag. Alibag में 1000 रुपए में स्क्वायर फीट मिलती है, नरीमन पॉइंट में 1.5 लाख में नहीं है. ब्रिज बनते ही नरीमन पॉइंट गिरेगा, अलीबाग ऊपर जाएगा. Because infrastructure Now, if you make a 324-kilometer metro rail in Mumbai, CBD's prices will finish because you are 20 minutes away. So that's infrastructure can bring down central business districts prices. So people earlier, most builders make this statement, which I disagree with, is why I'm highlighting. Location, location, location. That itself will be your bad thing. MG road में मुझे वापस नहीं मिलेगा. Right? Location बहुत अच्छी है. वो location के जो भाव हैं, जब आप फैलने के लिए दोगे, तो फिर आदमी उधर नहीं रहेगा MG road में. जाएगा, इंदिरा नगर में रहेगा, 15 मिनट, 10 मिनट में पहुंच जाएगा. Location can be a deterrent for property prices increase.
Feroze, thanks so much for joining in and for advising all of our investors. With that, we'll wrap up on the quick note that if you have any inquiries to make, please email them to us at inquiry@investingedge.in. We'll wrap up for this week. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.